act and how he should behave, even when he's in and out of his character of in the lair realm. And he really wanted this to be as believable as possible. I believe that David Wain said that he prepped for this like how a classically trained actor would prepare for a Shakespeare play.
Oh, that's fun.
And he really put in a lot of effort for literally weeks and months. And he spoke to Adrian every day for a couple hours saying like, how would my mannerisms be? How would I talk? If I was the king, how would I behave? Would I do this? Would I do that? And she said, you would do your movements. And she said about how he would have his jewelry and how he would speak to people. And he just ate it up. He loved it so much.
Wow. And it shows on screen. They had a lot of fun. And I think this is why the movie has a fresh tomato meter rating. I mean, critics like this movie, audiences like the movie. I mean, it made 93 million worldwide. That's not that's a pretty good box office total right there for a movie called Role Models that's rated R. So,
adjusted for inflation, that is 110.2 million.
I mean, that's good. That's good for a comedy with a budget of $30 million.
I would say that goes above and beyond. To add to that, to what you said, in Brazil, this movie is known as "Do What I Say, Don't Do What I Do."
That's funny. Wow.
Which is kind of goes along with the movie.
I wish it was "Don't BS a BSer."
That would be that is a more literal translation. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. All right, hey, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more role models. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And okay, we got to talk about this. Little Bobby and Seann William Scott, Wheeler, just talking about boobies. I mean, that's probably a third of this movie. And I like how, he's like, you can't just look at them. You notice those mountains look like boobs. Look over there at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And then later on, Wheeler's talking to his friends. And his friend's like, do you have STDs? Are you going to die alone because of your lifestyle?
I love how he says, he's like, you could have, he names all these STDs. He's like, and crabs. And he's like, I don't have crabs. And he's like, what are you telling these kids? That you have crabs.
I like how they build up his lifestyle like that, but then they just sort of have kids say that to him, and you're like, wait a second, is this guy isn't cool?
Yeah, I would say that he's probably not the ideal person that you want to look up to.
Yeah, exactly.
Hence the name of the movie.
Role model. Get it?
Role models. Tagline, we are not role models.
Well, technically they're not role models, but the title's funny because it's assuming that they're role models. And I also liked how, so in every movie there's always the breakup. So in the beginning of the film, you have Elizabeth Banks and Paul Rudd breaking up, but then they get with these kids and then they start bonding with the kids. They have a montage. They go to the beach and Wheeler gets a sand boobies. They sort of start hanging out and becoming buds. But then I kind of liked the way the breakups happened between the kids. And it's a lack of a better term is that I'm using this. So you have Wheeler, he goes to a party, meets up with a girl, and he leaves his buddy playing video games. That's not, okay, no man in their 30s should no man ever should do that, right? You should never, ever, ever, ever do that. But I guess David Wain wanted it to be bad, but something that's not inexcusable. If that makes sense. Like, listen, that was stupid. I thought you were there. I kind of like that Wayne did that. And then I like that what happened between Rudd and Augie is Rudd finally stuck up for Augie at the dinner that he hates going to dinner with people scene. And I kind of dug that. But I mean, it was a believable way to break up the kids, I think. And it was a good way to bring them all back together.
Yeah, I like how in the beginning we established a very good friendship with everybody and how everyone is kind of, we're still kind of working on things and they have a great camaraderie. And then they do things that are not excusable, as you said, with the party sequence. Danny sticking up for Augie, and it really backfires against him, even though it really shouldn't. And I like how whenever he gets up and then, Ken Marino's character playing the dad there just takes his chair and pushes it over.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That made me happy.
I thought that was good because I was like, I remember when I first saw this, I thought, oh yeah, that's what you would do at a bar. You would just kind of.
And people love that scene too, that he did that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a solid.
Ken Marino's fun. I love him in Wanderlust. So David Wain, before this, he did Wet Hot American Summer, The 10, then he did this. And there's a scene in Wanderlust where Paul Rudd and Jennifer Aniston are at Ken Marino's home, and they're just being turds. Well, they're all being brats to each other. Ken Marino just starts slamming his table, like his plate down, and like he starts walking around like he's hulking up. He's like, in my house. in my house. Have you seen that scene where he just starts freaking out?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Oh, but he starts hulking out, and it's just one of the funniest scenes. But I think I don't know, I like his, well, no, I don't know if I like his character in this, but he's not like a terrible guy, is he? No, he's a terrible guy.
I don't know how to put it. He's immature for his age.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I think that he gets away with it for so long, so he's okay with behaving immaturely. And I think that if Augie's mom left him, no, not even that, because I don't even think he cares about Augie's mom. But I think that if he had a rude awakening, he would probably snap out of it. But his character is good with acting like this for his whole entire life until something bad happens.
Yeah, I gotcha. And then he's just kind of living with what, Carrie. Are you drinking coffee right now, Chris Kelly?
Carrie Kenny. I was drinking coffee. Put down that chili and get in there.
No, I left you hanging there. You're like, man, I'm safe to do some coffee right here. And then, listen,
Carrie
man.
Kenny playing Lynette.
I think she's funny in this role too, and I do. Like I said, I love the ending when she tries, but it works out horribly. But he appreciates that she tries. That scene always makes me laugh. I dig that about them.
Because it's not like they're going to come fully around just from one little scene and seeing that how their son is really into this. What I thought was cool was with Kiss My Auntie, they were going to put on the full kabuki makeup for Kiss.
Yeah. But
they said in the commentary, David Wain said that they did that, and with the screen tests, they just looked really creepy.
Yeah, I can't even tell who they are. They probably wanted to keep some of their...
Yeah, there's no way you'd be able... I mean, they would just kind of blend in together, and it would just look weird, in my opinion.
I kind of hate, though, that Bobby or Ronnie gets taken out so early. Probably with his age, they probably didn't want him on set. I mean, the less...
Yeah.
That's just a lot of kid hours and tutors and stuff, but I would have liked to see him running amok with that sword whapping people.
I think that would have been fun, but I think exactly what you said, that after looking at things, they thought it would be a lot smarter just to, kill him off and right at the beginning, and then that way they could have more time and breathing room and they could use more swear words and whatnot, which apparently was a huge issue while filming this movie, where they had to be very careful about how many times a day that they could say the F word around little Bobby, and how many times and how he could actually say the F word, because there's a vast difference between using it as a noun and using it as an adjective. So it was just kind of... According to David Wain, it was a big problem because the child labor personnel were always there saying, like, Bobby can't say it like this. He can say the F word like this, though. And he's like, God dang. Like,
Yeah, and also they had to film scenes where Seann William Scott was swearing on different times, because you can't have him swearing to... It's interesting laws, isn't it? It's really...
It really is. I don't think the general public... Well, you're not supposed to think about it, but you're just supposed to enjoy the movie. But I think the general public doesn't realize all these different things are put into a movie, and it really does make it a lot more harder. A prime example of making it hard in a movie to using a kid in a movie. One of my all-time favorite horror films, The Babadook, that kid that's in that, he was being told that what they are filming was a comedy. So that's the reason why it explains his outrageous behavior, because in his mind, he was doing a funny thing the whole time. So all the scenes that involve him doing stuff, that's why they're like that. And then the scenes that are involving the mother talking to him, the boy was not on set at all. And they had to get around that just because of children.
I love it. I have a quick question for you, Chris Kelly. What do you think about Coca-Cola and chicken fingers?
I mean, that's a pretty good snack, to be honest with you. I personally am not big on Coca-Cola, but hey.
I just love when Augie says, I like the idea of Coca-Cola more than I like it. And then he goes, I would run a train on some chicken fingers right now. And they're all just looking at him like, what? Now, bagel dogs, yes or no? I know.
Bagel dogs.
I know you're vegan, but what's your idea on bagel? Would you do a tofu bagel dog?
Yeah, I would do that. I have vegan corn dogs in my freezer right now. It's a lot of bread, but I think it's kind of funny that Ken Marino was actually the one who came up with that idea of having the dog coming out and then pushing it back in.
And she just starts laughing about it.
Oh my Gosh, I love Jane Lynch in this movie. I think that her character, her introduction, as being a drug addict, that was all her that came up with that idea, which I thought was fantastic. And she's the one who came up with all those lines of dialogue. Clearly that she did a lot of cocaine back in the day, but no longer does it. And it's so funny. And her introduction with that video for, what's the name of it again? What wings?
Sturdy Wings.
Sturdy Wings.
Oh, where the kids are dancing.
And then she's dancing, coming out behind the TV. I lose it every time she does that because it's just so darn funny. And just watching.
You trying to BS a BSer? Wait, so how are we trying to BS you? And why'd you put that in quotation marks? I love their little quips back and forth. Oh, see, you BS'd a BSer at the end when she says that. Yeah. But I like her character, though, because I've never really seen a character like that on screen. You could have played her as you have the one guy the really nerdy guy who could get dimes to play a game of Donkey Kong, and he likes to play Wings. That isn't even a song. You could have that Oh, sorry.
No. I was gonna say that's not even a Wings song yet.
Oh man, and you could have the overly pious, the really strict, but she's just a been there, done that lady, and I like her though. I love that character, and all their interactions make me so happy. And and she just kind of gives it right back to him. And even when they're being sarcastic with her, she just keeps going. She's like, I do not care about you guys. Oh, it made me so happy.
I love how she says to them, she's like, hey guys, I just want to put this out there. I know why you're here. You're gonna be serving 30 days in jail unless you do this. So
yeah, don't BS a BSer.
And it's so funny because it's like, look, I'm aware of why you're here. And it's hilarious. I originally they were supposed to use the real Big Brothers organization, but when the Big Brothers organization read this script, they said
I used to do that. I used to work for Big Brothers Big Sisters when I was teaching.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did that. I did it for like 3 years. It was fun, man. Yeah, a couple times a week you go work with the kid, help them out with their homework because of whatever circumstances. So I dug doing that. That was fun. And I'm going to brag here, Chris. They had to lay off a bunch of people, and they're like, we're going to keep you because you're an asset. I played Wings to all the kids.
That's Hoffmeyer putting the ASS in asset.
bragging about helping children. What a schmuck. That guy just
tons of chili.
Yeah. Well, I did. I would bring the crock pot over. Now,
only crashed one truck into the front of it. It's just.
Would you work at Chipmunks?
No.
I love that idea. They couldn't do They couldn't do Chuck E. Cheese's, so they did Chipmunks, where there's chipmunks who are monks. I love that Seann William Scott started working there. I'm glad they ditched that that subplot would have taken up too much screen time, but I love the scene. Oh, sorry, go for it.
No, I was going to say, there was a lot of stuff that they actually wound up cutting out, that a lot of the women that Seann William Scott's character Wheeler winds up schmoozing, they all had more roles, or there was more of a significance to these characters than what we actually see. Like originally it was supposed to open up with an alarm clock going off and Seann William Scott being like, ugh, and then he sees the girl next to him and she's like, you don't have any electricity. And he says, oh, I'm just doing my part to save the environment. She's like, you don't have any water either. He's like, again, environment. And then he's like, you want some breakfast? She's like, sure. What do you have? Nothing. And then she's like, okay, well, I'm leaving. And she goes to put on her clothes and leave and goes, ooh, can you give me a ride somewhere? And then that's what was, that led into what we actually have as the real beginning, which is Paul Rudd looking at his watch and then Seann William Scott being dropped off by a beautiful woman.
I mean, all the cuts make sense though. Do you feel the same way? Watching the deleted scenes are funny, but I think the movie's right about where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I always say this, there's a reason why they're deleted. Unless you're really trying to push the envelope for a big movie, such as like trying to explore more, like for instance, with a movie like Giant or East of Eden, a lot of those deleted scenes you could probably put back in. But with movies like Role Models, yeah, I mean, the whole point of the movie is, let's just face it, it's a goofy movie, fun. We don't need a lot of depth.
I do wish that. So there's an additional subplot where they get fired from their Minotaur job, so Seann William Scott has to start working at Chipmunks. And I wish there was more of him and Rashida Jones. That scene between them where he's talking about, oh man, I had this kid, I want to go mentor him again, I can't. And he's like, you know all about needing a mentor. She's like, what? He's like, I'm sure you have dad issues. She's like, I talk to my dad every day. Like that was a weird scene. She's like, I'm not smoking anymore. Do you want to make out? It was and then he was like, I quit this job. I'm out of here. Then she just started smoking a cigarette. I wish that they would have kept that in because I thought that was a funny. I don't know. That was just so weird. That's such a weird scene.
It added to the movie. That would have been one to leave in. One scene that I'm glad that they changed was whenever they got fired. they were originally supposed to duke it out, like right there, and really beat the crap out of each other. And Wheeler and Danny, it was supposed to end with Wheeler punching Danny right in the face and really like hitting him hard. And David Wain said during test audiences, they lost the audience at that point because everyone was going, wow, why is this brutal fight scene in this movie? But they changed it to whenever they get into the elevator, they say some crude remarks. That lady with the kid kind of goes to the side, and then they do kind of like a goofy fight back
goofy
and forth.
wrestle.
And that makes it a little bit more funnier because then it shows that they still have heart. But to add like a real